What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, before I get into this video, I want to remind you guys that I have the Patreon available, and I'd like to thank all you guys that already signed up to the Patreon, and to those of you who might be interested, the link is in the description box. And for only $2 per month, you know what I'm saying? For only $2 per month, you'll be able to hear me talk about stuff, issues, news items, social issues, controversial topics, and rants that I can't really do on YouTube anymore. YouTube has changed their policy so much that they really pussified YouTube. But over on YouTube, over on Patreon, for only $2 per month, you're able to get all that good content. And I already have 30 videos uploaded on Patreon. Now, and also if you choose to, if you wish to, if you want to show love to the channel as well, you can do so via the PayPal or the Cash App. Now, this is a continuation of the request that Saylas did yesterday, as far as wanting people's opinions in the LDBC about certain teams upcoming, this season. Yesterday I did a video about the Milwaukee Bucks. Damn, fuck wrong with my throat. I did a video about the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, today, in this video, I want to talk about the Houston Rockets. Now, this is the one that people are going to really keep a close eye on. You know what I'm saying? Haters are really going to keep a close eye because they want to go, see, I told you. Told you guys suck. Haters, they're really going to keep a close eye on these guys. If you're a basketball fan, you're just interested. You're interested to see whether or not this experiment might indeed work. I'm not necessarily a fan of James Harden. I do admire his scoring prowess, although sometimes I wonder if sometimes he's doing it to help his team or whether he's trying to pad his numbers. I don't know. Russell Westbrook, I am a fan of his, though I do understand the criticisms. So you wonder, like, with these two guys who have this history of choking and not getting it done and whatnot, what do you expect from these two? Well, one problem that I see, just one problem now that I see, is that you're going to have two guys who perennially lead the NBA in turnovers now on the same team. So that's just going to be a problem. Turnovers are going to be a big problem for this team. Okay, I just generally see that. And usually teams that lead the NBA in turnovers, sometimes they can still be good teams. But oftentimes that can lead to breakdowns at the end of games. You know what I'm saying? I remember the 97 Knicks, right? If I'm not mistaken, the 97 Knicks, who finished 57-25 that year, but they actually kind of faltered a little bit. They probably should have won 60-something games. And they should have been the Chicago Bulls' opponent in the conference finals that year if it wasn't for the melee, the fight that occurred that swung ultimately against New York as far as suspensions is concerned. But one thing I remember about that Knicks team is that if I remember correctly, they led the NBA in turnovers. So sometimes, especially late down the games when possessions become more valuable, that was often the difference between a win and a loss, especially against premier teams. Now, that's something to be watched. Um, I just think, with this team, I think it makes better sense for Russell to fall back to James Harden as far as scoring is concerned. I mean, first of all, it's James Harden's team. Okay. This is James Harden's team. And this is not the same dynamics that was there with the Oklahoma City Thunder when that was obviously Kevin Durant's and Russell Westbrook's team. And James Harden had the role as the sixth man. This is going to be James Harden's team. And I think Russell Westbrook plays best, in my opinion, when he is more of a secondary scoring option and he's more of a playmaker and focuses more on the defensive end. That's when I think Russell Westbrook is at his best. And when people tend to forget, and the media pissed me off with this shit last year, people tend to forget that's how the Oklahoma City Thunder were playing at one point for a long stretch last year. Paul George was the leading scorer. Russell Westbrook was the secondary scoring option. He was more of the playmaker. He focused more on defense. And initially in the season, Russ was kind of falling back on shooting threes. You know what I'm saying? He kind of wasn't shooting that shot as much. His field goal percentage was way up. It was like at 46, 47% at one point. And that's when they were playing very well. That's when at one point in time, I think last year they were like third in the West. But when Paul George got injured, or hurt, I'll say, when Paul George got hurt, because he played down the stretch, but he wasn't the same. Paul George, was struggling a little bit. That's when Russ stepped it up offensively. And although he did have some good scoring games, Oklahoma sort of fell back down to reality, fell back down to earth. And I can't remember what seed they were, but they were I think they were the sixth seed last year. But I didn't like the fact that the media just rushed to, blame Russell Westbrook for everything because gotta remember at one point Paul George was an MVP caliber candidate. And Paul George was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year at one point, and people forget that. And a lot of it had to do with the way Russell was playing. And, it was like damn if you do and damn if you don't for Russell Westbrook. When he was holding back and scoring, people was like, well, why can't Russell score anymore? Then when Russell started shooting again and showed that he can score, albeit he did struggle from the free throw line, and that's something that has to be addressed and fixed by Russell. But when that happened, then all of a sudden, oh look, he's shooting up bricks, and I'm like, what are you? I don't know, man. The media loves to bash Russell Westbrook, and if the Houston Rockets are struggling this year, you best believe that Russell Westbrook is going to get pretty much the lion's share of the blame. I don't know. It's just people. That's just the narrative. Uh, People are going to blame Russell Westbrook for whenever they lose or whenever anything bad happens in the team. Russell is going to get the blame, and that's just how that is. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. James Harden, he's in a better situation because now he has someone to take. You got the one guy in the NBA that you want to play with to take pressure off of you because the media is going to blame Russell Westbrook. Okay, that's just how it is. They're going to blame Russell primarily. Um, James Harden now has somebody on the team who really can take some pressure off of him. Um, as far as defenses are concerned. Um, you know, they're going to be a potent 1-2 punch, but as is often the case when you have guys like this, for these guys to really make it in the playoffs, like a deep playoff run, you're going to have both of these guys pretty much play well at the same time. And I don't really, look, I wish that would happen, but I just don't know how realistic that is. You know what I'm saying? But they're going to be they're going to be a hell of a team. You know, I wish that Russell. This is what I really wish that Russell would do. But Russell is Russell, so you never know what you're going to get from him. I wish Russell would just pretty much just stay away, unless he's wide open. I really wish he would stay away from shooting threes, and I wish he would focus more on his mid range because he has a pretty good mid range game. You know what I'm saying? And in the playoffs, we've seen what having a mid range game, the benefit of having that is. Russell is never going to be a great 3-point shooter. He's going to be a 26 to 30% 3-point shooter. So if you're not a good 3-point shooter by percentage, that's a shot that you pretty much don't want to take in high volume. You know what I'm saying? Um, just looking at their roster, you have Eric Gordon. You know, I'm wondering what's going to happen with that too, as far as Eric Gordon's concerned. Like, I'm assuming, I'm assuming Russell's going to still play point guard. I'm assuming James is going to be the two. So, okay, I don't trust Clint Capella anymore. You have Tyson Chandler, but he's old. I don't understand for the life of me why the fuck the Rockets signed Anthony Bennett. He's an absolute fucking bum. Absolute fucking bum. Bum, 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 bum. Possibly the biggest bust in the history of NBA. But, one thing that Russell has going for him now is he actually has some guys around him that could shoot the basketball. You know what I'm saying? He has some guys around him that could shoot. So that's a plus. And as far as Russell's concerned, as far as like triple doubles and all that, I don't know whether he's going to average a triple double this year. I don't know about that. Um, I think his scoring is going to be about the same as it was last year. Maybe, I don't know. It's probably going to be in the lower 20s, 21, 22, something like that. Maybe 23. I don't think it's going to, those days of him averaging 30 or close to 30, that's not going to work here because I don't think he's going to be the first option. I think James Harden will be the first option. I don't think James Harden is going to average. I don't think James Harden is going to average 36 points per game this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Harden led the NBA in scoring again. It's just going to depend on Curry and what happens in Golden State because, Curry might be in a situation where he has to shoot the ball a lot more. You know what I'm saying? I know that D'Angelo Russell's there, but, you know, I do think that Russell Westbrook is going to lead the NBA in assists again. At first, I was thinking it was possible it was going to be LeBron James, but one of my subscribers made a good point. LeBron's never really even come close to leading the NBA in assists, so maybe that's not going to be the case. But Russell, I think, is probably going to lead the NBA in assists again. I think it's going to be by a larger margin. And I think Russell's going to relish his role on this team. These guys have been friends for so long, and I think they've known each other since they were kids. And I think it's going to work, like as far as chemistry is concerned. But you just have to see how these guys mesh out there. One thing I am concerned about is down the stretch of the game, who's going to, you know, who's going to take the last shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's going to, be the guy to, you know, who's going to be the go-to guy. Now, I would think it's going to be James Harden, but you don't know. James Harden is a much better 3-point shooter than Russell Westbrook. So he has a lot. He's generally a better scorer because he's able to take advantage of so many different rules, and we all know about Russell. We all know about James Harden, right? Um, One thing I'm concerned about though too, you got two guys who are ball stoppers, ISO guys. I just if I'm saying a lot, it's because I'm trying to look for silver linings, but I just don't know. I have to be convinced by watching these guys play that this is going to work. You know what I mean? Usually, when you have two ball dominant guys, it doesn't work normally. Um, One instance where I can think of where it worked was the New York Knicks when they acquired Earl the Pearl Monroe. Um, Earl the Pearl Monroe, one of the great scorers in the NBA, was a beast in the late '60s with the then Baltimore Bullets. You know what I'm saying? But I think when the Bullets acquired Wes Unseld, and they were trying to build a team around him. Wes Unseld was, I think he's the last guy to be the Rookie of the Year plus league MVP. I think that's when eventually Monroe was traded to the Knicks. And a lot of people was like, man, you got this guy who's a volume scorer. He's ISO. How is he going to fit in this scheme with the Knicks and the team concept and all that? But he actually did fit. It actually worked out, and the Knicks went on to, have three NBA final appearances, I think 70, 72, and 73. And of course, they won the championship in 1970 and 73. So it did work in that instance. But the thing about Earl the Pearl Monroe is, though, he had a jump shot. You know, he had a jump shot. And he could actually play defense. Um, he was able to adjust his style of play. I just don't know. I just don't know, man. I want to see how this is going to work. I like Russell. I don't like talking to, I don't want to bet against him, but I can see it's easier for me to see how isn't going to work than me seeing how it will work. But this is going to be the team to watch. You know what I'm saying? This is the team that's going to be under the microscope because we got to see how this is going to work out. But, you know, um, from what I understand, a lot of people love Russell. The media may not love him, but from what I see, teammates, and Sayles talked about this in the video, teammates seem to love Russell Westbrook for the most part. You know what I'm saying? The only guy that might seem to have had a problem with him was Kevin Durant, maybe. Maybe, if you read what he says cryptically or not. But most teammates seem to love him. So there's something that we're missing, that a lot of us are missing about him. But we'll see, man. Tell me what you got.